next speaker. And our next speaker is someone who has redefined what it takes to be a true transformational leader. We have Folashade Efiong-Bassey, Group Executive Director, HR and Corporate Services, IPNX Nigeria Limited. Folashade, please spotlight her profile now. Folashade is a distinguished organizational transformational leader, coach, and corporate strategist with expertise in leadership excellence, digital transformation, and corporate sustainability. As the Group Executive Director of Human Resources and Corporate Services at IPNX Nigeria, she plays a crucial role in solidifying the company's position as the top ICT provider in Nigeria. Folashade champions a culture of empathy and excellence, focusing on empowering individuals and driving organizational growth. Her academic background includes a bachelor's degree in linguistics from the University of Jos and an MBA from the prestigious Business School, Lagos. Recognized for her significant contribution to human capital development, Folashade has been honored at the 2003 Social Impact and Sustainability Awards and has actively participated in STEM programs for young girls. She's clearly a powerhouse. She is a personification of the shared power of determination and focus in attaining accelerated organizational transformation across diverse business verticals, and she has harnessed this experience to navigate complex market environments. She's dedicated to empowering individuals, especially young women, exactly what we're talking about, to make informed choices in their quest for academic and career distinction. She will be taking us on mindset and visualization, developing the C-suite mentality, dealing with impostor syndrome, and low self-esteem. Folashade, that's just a summarized version of her profile. You know, this topic is for me. I'm here, I'm sitting, I'm the only student right now because the key things you were speaking about are what we are all eager and at the edge of our seats to say, please help us navigate through this thing.
Thank you very much.
So welcome, and I officially yield the floor to you. Please carry on.
Thank you very much, Ogo. And I'm very sure that this topic is going to resonate with quite a lot of us, especially as women, as we have had to grow in our career. So I'm sure there's going to be something for everyone. Now, Henry has given us a class act to follow. We'll do our best to keep up with him. And I particularly, was blown away by the data, just like everyone else. And I will tout our horn and say that in my organization, a lot of these gender issues are not existent. Our organization is more results biased, and maybe people have a lot to learn from us. We have quite a number of females in key leadership positions in the organization, including on the board. And our chairman for very many years was a woman until she voluntarily retired. So maybe we should actually, have a case study with us, Professor Henry. May I share my slide, please? Thank you. So I just want to give a quick shout out to my very powerful and supportive community. As soon as I went off, everybody was scrambling around, say, what can we do? What can we do? And that was really awesome. Thank you very much, guys. All right. Okay. So my brief is to talk about mindsets and visualization. My name is Folashade Efiong-Bassey, and I'm going to be focusing on developing the C-suite mentality by overcoming the imposter syndrome and low self-esteem. You're going to learn how to prepare yourself to take risks and step outside of your comfort zone. I've been given 20 minutes and I'm going to try to put everything into that. But before we go on, I'd like to tell you a quick story about a lady, a high-achieving corporate leader called M. Now, this lady has worked for about 12, 13 years, and she had attained a leadership position, and she was gunning for C-suite. She was working in one of those industries that Professor Henry had said, one of the male-dominated industries. And but she felt that, okay, I want to take a stab at this position. And then when the interviews, were set up within her organization, she had a male competitor who was also gunning for the same position. And M lost confidence. She began to doubt herself. She remembered situations like this. Oh, I'm sure they're going to be judging me. She remembered situations where, as a woman, she had to leave work early to take care of a family emergency. She thought of so many different things, and she began to doubt herself. During the interview, she was hesitant. She was not able to communicate her vision for the organization. She was not able to answer the questions. And instead, she was talking about operational issues, tactical things. On the other hand, her competitor, let us call him B, delivered a bold and innovative vision. And the interview panel, the group directors, were inspired. They were blown away by his ability to inspire confidence in them and his understanding and ideas for the organization. When the results came out, of course, she lost out and she was devastated. You can imagine. She said, I've worked for this for so many years. And her CEO said, look, you're an exceptional manager, but why didn't you get the job? Said, but you were talking about operational things, and the other fellow gave us a transformative vision, and she lost that opportunity to go into the C-suite. But the story doesn't end there. Stick with me to the end of the presentation, and we will find out what happened to M. Remember her name because I'm going to ask you, or her initial. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be looking at is now I'm going to be using, because we have so little time, I'm just going to be using descriptions, and this is not going to be so much of a teaching class. Now, mindsets and visualization are powerful tools that help you to transition into boardroom roles. Now, adopting the right mental approach and practicing visualization will improve your leadership presence, increase your confidence and your performance. Now, visualization, we all know what it is, where we're going. You have to define, I call it your heaven. Where are you going? What do you want to do? You have to name it. You have to name it. Something that is not named is formless and it just happens. It's just reactive. But when you give something a name, then it is a proactive situation. So you have to define where you're going, and you have to define where you do not want to be. If you don't paint the two pictures, you will be caught in inertia. You will be submerged in the day-to-day operations of your work, which is what happened to M. And it happens to a lot of us because there are always current issues that you have to resolve in your organization. So you'll be submerged in that. And you're neither, in hell behind, and you're not in heaven. Now, when you define your heaven, that's your North Star. That is what is pulling you. And your hell is pushing you away. What is hell? What would happen to you if in 1 year, you do not make any changes from where you are and you're going somewhere? Because you're on this call, I assume you want to step onto the next level of leadership. So then you go into a mental rehearsal of what you want to do. Just as you carry out a physical rehearsal, you have to do the same thing mentally. What are the things I need to do? How do I develop myself? What are the actions I need to take? You imagine how to speak. We heard one of the speakers said earlier, talking about executive presence. You put all those things, you visualize all those things, and then you practice that on a daily basis. Now, there is no change without some pain. Our coaches will tell you no pain, no gain. But until the pain of remaining the same is greater than the pain of change, you will not move towards change. So that is why it is important to define the heaven and hell. Now, mindset, again, I'm just going to throw words at you so it strikes a chord in you. The mindset that will propel you is a mindset that thrives, is a mindset of action. It is not passive. It is a mindset of curiosity, a mindset that owns things, takes ownership, and is willing to stand to give accounts for the situation that has been put in your care. We heard the LBS gentleman talk about, it's not about, something about people being put in your care and not about you just doing the carrying out the actions. And then a mindset of resilience where you bounce back, as I did, from a situation that would make you uncomfortable. And then grit, it has been, studies have been carried out that have shown that grit is one of the most common factors of all top CEOs across the world, because you'll always have situations, adverse situations, and you always need to have that grit to be able to push through. And then, of course, emotional intelligence, which is the ability to navigate your emotions as well as the emotions of others, and understanding the impacts that emotions have on actions, on behavior, and so many other things. And I want to say something. If you're serious about moving to the next level, you need to understand you're not invited, or you do not earn the C-suite as a reward for the past or what you have done. You move into the C-suite as trust and belief from executive management or the board that you are able to deliver for the future. So many of us think that, well, I've done so well, I've worked so hard, it's time for me to get my reward. Your reward is the work you do and the salary you get. Moving to the C-suite is a higher level of responsibility that comes, with expectation of trust. And what are the components of a C-suite leadership mindset? Strategic vision with long-term thinking, the ability to navigate complex landscapes and understand where the organization is going. Capacity and competence to inspire confidence to resolve issues. Capacity, a lot of us think at times that it's just the functional knowledge that I have or that we have. So I'm an engineer and I've been a very good engineer at that. I'm an accountant, I've been a very good accountant, or a finance person, or I've been, whatever function you're in or whatever portfolio you're holding. But your capacity and competence also includes resilience, adaptability, confidence in spite of ambiguity, in spite of uncertainty. We hear talk about the VUCA world where things are so volatile and uncertain. And yet, if you are in C-suite or if you're aspiring to C-suite, you have to have the confidence to see that through. I remember many times my group managing director, when things are going all right, maybe in the economy in the country, and his face he has a calm, like all sails ahead face, and you just have that confidence. You're inspired that what, this is we're going on. So we have to learn how to demonstrate that. That leads to parts of the executive presence. Now you have to add value to your organization. It is not just your work. Whatever you're doing must add revenue, either increase revenue or reduce cost or add some specific value. You have to see the value that you're adding. You're no longer an officer or an assistant manager or a manager. You're moving away from that. So it is not about the work day to day only that you're doing. What is the value that you're going to bring, that you're adding? This is important. And then you have to be able to solve the problems of the organization. Did I say solve problems? I mean, problems disappear. They do not exist. So no board wants a C-suite that is bringing problems to the board. Just solve the problems in a responsible and ethical manner, of course. Noella said something earlier. She said when she goes to sleep, she knows that Ogo is going to do whatever it is. That is exactly the expectation for you if you're moving into the C-suite. And we know a lot about communication, able to communicate effectively with different stakeholders. Some people communicate and drop bombs. Some people communicate, your communication is contextual and subject to your audience and the message. But some of us think I am who I am and you just have to take me as I am and I speak the truth and that's how I'm going to say it. No, you have to tailor your communication to your audience in a way that inspires confidence and conveys knowledge. And you also have to build influence. You have to lead with influence, where you establish trust, where you're able to galvanize people, you're able to mobilize your teams to achieve results. And underpinning all this is ethics and integrity, where you're able to lead you're able to provide guidelines to your leaders to make disciplined decisions and foster a transparent and positive organizational culture. You need ethics and influence to do that. So those are components of C-suites. So how do we cultivate the C-suite mindsets? So like I said, it's going to be very practical. Visualization, we've talked about that. You have to align with strategy and long-term thinking. Many of us, when we are, when we're still growing in our career, we have very set ideas at times about doing things. And when you get to a position of, where you can now influence business outcome, you're going north or south while the board wants you to go north. You really have to rethink. Are you in the right organization? If you're so convinced that your strategy is right and the board is wrong, you may have to rethink your stay, or you may have to find a way to use numbers to convince them. Then long-term thinking, we've talked about that. I don't want to spend so much time on that. Now, leadership responsibilities. You have to understand higher level of responsibilities. There are fiscal responsibilities, there are operational responsibilities, there are environmental responsibilities, there are HR responsibilities, and there are bodies of knowledge behind this within your organization and outside. We have places like the Lagos Business School. We have places like the Institute of Directors. We have places like FITC. We have so many, we have institutions that are ready to share their knowledge with you in terms of leadership. You also have your own internal policies that you have to understand, imbibe. Many times, especially technical, many times, many of us don't want to do the work to understand policy and think that magic is going to happen just because we're there. You have to understand all those things. And you leverage this to achieve results. It's not just reading or just knowledge for the sake of knowledge. And you're not just carrying out your day-to-day, but you're leveraging all this to achieve the required results. Now you have to learn how to build, if you want to get to the C-suite, like Noella said, she has a strong team. I have a strong community, behind me as well. So with my community, there's nothing I cannot do. There's nothing I cannot achieve. If you build a strong team, it takes passion, it takes rigor, it takes patience, it takes love. Professor Henry was talking about love. It takes determination. You have to carry out performance management. You have to give feedback. You have to push. You have to train. You have to develop. You build a strong team. Some people think that my group and in my organization, we always say recruit people who are smarter than you, because that is the only way you're going to grow. That's the way the team will get stronger. If you're the strongest bastion, in your team is going to crumble. So you recruit people, you work with people who are stronger than you, and together you harness the collective energy, knowledge, and expertise of that team. When you're able to build a strong team and everybody's accountable for the different areas within your sphere of control, then you learn how to delegate. You empower your teams and you enable them to do their work. And then that frees you to make high impact decisions. That will directly translate to business outcomes. If you're following me, could you just drop some emojis so that I know that I'm connecting with you? And then you lead with emotional intelligence. I talked about emotional intelligence being the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your emotion as well as that of other people. And listen, emotions rule people, right? And I'm sure that if my coach, Coach Chenahoro, were here, thank you, Susanna, thank you, Tunde, thank you, everyone. If my coach were here, he would be saying that, thank you, Tosin. Emotions lead people. And if you understand the emotions of if you understand what emotions are and you understand how to navigate and help people understand how to navigate their emotions, then you've solved a lot of issues. When Professor Henry was talking about unconscious bias, that's an emotion, that's something in your head. What does that have to do in the business place? What does that have to do? But it has a lot because it influences everything. So as a C-suite, people should stop saying it's not personal, it's just business. You're not working with robots. You're working with human beings who are buying fuel for a certain amount of money, who have to wait through traffic, who are suffering from imposter syndrome and so many other things. And so that is that about cultivating the C-suite mindset. Now, what are some of the pitfalls to success? We're going to take 3 quick bullet points: the imposter syndrome, low self-esteem, and fear of taking risks. Now, what is the imposter syndrome? It feeds your insecurities. I'm not going to define it because the definition will be different for each person. But when I describe it, if you're going through it, you will recognize it. And I want you to face it today. The imposter syndrome has a very negative inner whispery voice. And whatever insecurity you have, and trust me, we all have our insecurities. It feeds it. You're not good enough. You don't deserve this success. I've had an instance where someone had told me, well, but you know that when you got your promotion, you just got it because there was nobody else. They just had to give it to you. That immediately takes away, right, from the feeling of accomplishment and, certainty of your own competence. If you listen to that, someone has told me this, this kind of thing happens several times. I think one of the speakers had said that when somebody told her, tell me, how did you convince the white man to give you this job? Why don't you have to convince anybody? Why wasn't she given the job? Because, she was capable. Why do you even think that? That's already is degrading the accomplishments of that person. And so you have this negative inner voice, and it's telling you, that you're feeling like a fraud, you have self-doubt. I didn't go to the right school. I was reading an article in the papers about a girl I was working with PwC, and she said she didn't go to the right school and she felt like she was shut out, from things that were happening. So you hear things like this type of college and that type of college in Nigeria and abroad. I went to public university. I didn't go to a private university. They all went to private universities. I'm speaking with the wrong accents. I wear the wrong kind of clothes. I don't have the right hair. I don't belong to the right tribe. There's so many things. And, this imposter syndrome happens to high achievers. It's not just right all the way from interns all the way to industry titans. In fact, studies as far back as 1920, 1940, as far back as 1980, up to this year, credible studies by Harvard Business Review, like Korn Ferry, have shown that CEOs, as high as 70 to 80% of CEOs confess to having the imposter syndrome. So if you're feeling it, you're in fine company. And we're going to tell you, what to do about it. So some of the signs are talked about. That's perfectionism. You keep doing things over and over. You say, I want it to be perfect. No, it is because you're not sure that you've got it right. You're not confident. You feel something is going to go wrong. There's an obsessive preparation. You drive your team crazy. You do the same thing 100 times because you don't want to be found out. You go over it. You fear that you're going to fail. You're an accountant, for instance, and you're not intuitively good with numbers. So you're comparing yourself with somebody that does numbers in his head, and you're like, no, I'm not good enough. Or you're not a natural speaker, and you're comparing yourself with someone that's a walking dictionary. Or you have a fear of, you don't want to, you prefer to be an individual contributor. You don't want to lead any team, but you want to grow. So these are different signs that you go through. You're performing so well, you're given an assignment, a stretch assignment, as a sign of confidence and, to help you, to push you to grow and to innovate. And you're suspicious. You're like, why is he giving me this? Why is he giving me this work to do? He wants me to fail. He doesn't know how to drive me out from the organization. But he has looked for a reason to set me up for public failure. So you're suspicious of praise and recognition. Does this happen to any of us? Do you know anybody that it has happened to? You can drop it in the chat box and let us learn from ourselves. Let's learn from each other. How do I overcome the imposter syndrome? First of all, you have to tout your horn mentally. Remember visualization. You have to recognize what you have done and own it. If you have to write it down, write it down. I've done A, B, C, D. At the end of every day, you know, this is a practical session, like I said, write down what you have achieved. And reverse accountability. You have to hold yourself accountable. You're not going to write down if you're not achieving. So don't lie to yourself. To be sure that you're writing something, you have something, write it, do something and write it. Understand your own distinctive contribution. Then I also always say that when you lack confidence, build your competence. You have to develop your own personalized growth strategy, how to grow, how to develop. LBS has shown us one of those. There's so many ways. There are productivity tools that you can use. There's so many things that you can do. And there are many habits, just like a habit, you know, when something is a habit, you just do it without thinking, you know, whether it's good or bad. Same way you have to build performance habits. Unfortunately, we can't go into details here, but you have to build performance habits. And whenever anything is happening, you fall to your habits, right, of giving high performance. And that breeds confidence and builds confidence in other people. Then you have to acquire, I assume a lot of us here already have a growth mindset. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be here at 9 o'clock listening to me talk about moving to the next level, right? So you strengthen your mindset. A growth mindset reframes challenges and failures, right? Reframes failures and challenges as opportunities for growth and innovation. Resilience, I demonstrated that and I told you that it was a good thing. And so with resilience, you're able to bounce back. What is Naira saying today? But you are bouncing back as a business. You're not submerged. Life has to go on, right? And the greatest leaders of all times, they've had significant amounts of resilience. And then you move from, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you're continuously learning. We have unlearn, relearn. If you are being told unlearn, relearn, then what do you have a problem with perfectionism and continuous learning? Why do we still continue to, you know, strive for development? Why do you move from the known to the unknown? So, you know, leave perfectionism behind and let us move to continuous learning. Seek feedback and support. I have some of my coaches and mentors on this call. Anytime I have an issue or I'm seeing myself, I go to them and I say, and they help me to reframe and they provide perspective. And that is something that you can also do. Self-esteem will sabotage your decision-making. Now, decision-making is important for you as you're learning to go into C-suite. You need to understand how to use sound, data-driven, and objective information to drive decisions and present this to executive management. When you have low self-esteem, you're not able to assert authority or influence, and nobody's going to follow you. And who is going to, what use is a leader without a follower? And some of the things you do, surround yourself with supportive and growth-minded people. Like I said, powerful community that I have. And, you know, it's like, what's the next thing? How do we convert this into an opportunity? How do we recover from this? And then I've talked about emotional intelligence. Positive affirmation is to keep talking to yourself and telling yourself who you are, where you're going, what you can do. Now, C-suite executives will face high-stakes decisions that involve risks. However, the ability to successfully navigate risk is what will lead to innovation and growth. I remember when I was younger in my career, when we would have to take certain decisions, maybe around choosing a particular software, or particular program that involved spending money. I would always do collective decisions so that if there's a problem, all of us will be blamed. Or I look for something that everybody else has done and say, okay, that's what I'm going to do. Even if I know that this is not really going to solve my problem. But I was afraid to take that risk. And if it goes wrong, what am I going to do? Luckily, my organization is quite innovative. So you are encouraged to take risks. My group friend will say, if you take a risk, you make a mistake. As long as it's a logical mistake, even if it costs us money, that's fine. Don't make the same mistake twice. And it takes courage to step out of a comfort zone into a highway that accommodates risk taking. So there are so many types of risks that you'll be contending with. Now you're contending with it, but you're reporting to someone, right? So there's strategy, there's operations, there's financial risk. There are so many risks ongoing. When you are aspiring for the C-suite, you will own those risks. And I'm going to show you, a quick method of how you can, overcome the fear of risk. But you have to own the risk. You have to understand that risk, like I said, will lead to ability to navigate it, will lead to innovation. A lot of the banks, well, some of the banks, seen in the papers, are overhauling their software, their IT. Now, you could say this is an innovation risk or a cybersecurity risk, or operational risk, or a strategic risk. What if they overhaul or they are moving to a different sector? Doesn't go well. But what if it works out? Imagine the opportunity for taking over the markets. Imagine the new opportunity for new businesses. Imagine the opportunity for automation and things that are going to add value to the business, depending on the objective that they're seeking for. If they do not take this risk, they will not move forward. Now, when you're moving into C-suite, you will be the one responsible for the risk. It is not the board. Neither will it be the group. You are the one that is going to have to manage that risk. And at any moment, you have two options. You step forward into growth or you step back into safety. And remember, I said, there will be no change until the pain of staying the same exceeds the pain of change. So you need to decide, are you really ready for that change? Are you really ready for that pain? And how do we become comfortable with risks? You have to develop a risk-taking mindset. You frame risk as an opportunity. I think I've sort of explained that already. Now, systemized risk management. There is a body of knowledge behind taking risks. That body of knowledge, people have added to this, lots of people, qualified people before you have added to this body of knowledge. There's a way you categorize it. We have risk managers on this call. There's a way you rate it. There's a way you minimize it. They have all their fancy terms. Learn that, work with the risk managers in your organization. Many times there are people that, there are some positions that nobody wants to listen to. Risk, audits, at times HR, they're just a pain, they get in your way. They get in your way and they get in your way and you're not listening to them. So work with your risk manager, understand risk and take that risk. Then you build your appetite incrementally. You seek diverse perspectives from different people. Don't hoard knowledge. You have to harness collective expertise. You delegate, I've talked about that. You challenge your leadership style. Don't be the leader that doesn't listen to anybody. And then you have to align bold risks with your company's strategy. Now, I'm wrapping up. So we said we're leveraging visualization to propel you through obstacles to the C-suite, develop a C-suite mindset through strategic thinking, recognize and address imposter syndrome, take risks, step outside, build confidence, transform your mindset, and transform your impacts. And so I'm going to be asking you to drop in the comment section, what are the next steps that you're going to do? But wait, before we go on, what happened to, what's her name? Do you remember? She scheduled mentorship sessions with the CEO, and these are things that you can do. She explored additional resources on C-suite leadership development. She attended the programs. She reflected on her mindset, created a personalized growth plan. She joined forums, expanded her network, practiced strategic thinking. And a year later, she got a senior, she was promoted to a more senior position, and she was right back on track to her C-suite and board journey. And if you practice, some of the things you're going to hear at this growth conference, I assure you, you will be right on track to get into that level that you want. And we're absolutely rooting for you and wish you the very best. Thank you very much as I come to the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much, Folashade. Well, I just want to say, summarize with that your session was therapy. You opened up the wounds. You told us this is your problem. I know this is your problem. I'm going to talk about it. And when you're done digging through the wounds that we have been hiding with bandage and we packed somewhere, you opened it up and then you came to soothe us, to assure us that what we are going through, it's almost natural, it's normal. And you put yourself in our shoes. You told us your story and how you have also gained your confidence. The chat box is hot. It is, everybody's like, go girl, I love it. And you really touch on what a lot of people are really dealing with: imposter syndrome. I don't even know where it comes from. I'm glad it even has a name. Before we knew it was a name, it was chaotic. But now that it has a name, you said name some, you must name it. Now we know that is what it is. When it comes upon us during those times, we should qualify it and begin to assure us on the things on the things or what we have achieved, even when we don't even feel completely competent at the point, but we still did a lot of things. So thank you, Folashade. I appreciate your
Thank you
time.
very much.
We're ending your
Thank
session
you
now. Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
So
Thank
let's
you
move on.
for the awesome audience. Thank you
Yes.
very much. Thank you
Thank you
for the
so much.
opportunity.
Round of applause. Virtual round of applause.